Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show this week. We've got a good one for you coming off of the IFL National Championship this past weekend. We've got Brent Stover, who is with CBS Sports. He's been doing sports broadcasting for over 20 years. He was doing the play-by-play for the IFL National Championship this past weekend. So got to talk to him about how he got involved with sports broadcasting, how he got involved with doing play-by-play and sideline commentary for the arena game, the Brawl at the Mall. He was the sideline reporter for that. So we dove into some of that lore. And then we talked about the IFL National Championship and the direction that the IFL's headed. So it's a really cool conversation with him. I'm excited to dive into it and let everyone hear it. But before we dive into the interview with Mr. Stover, we've got social plugs. That's right. If you don't already, please make sure you're following us on socials at Off the Wall FB. F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. We're on Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok, all the things and stuff. Go follow us there. If you're somewhere on social, we're probably there too. You can follow people on Reddit too, right? Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, go follow us on Reddit too. Why not? But go give us a follow, join the conversation. We're gonna have a ton of cool off-season activities and things planned across the socials. So it's going to be a really, really fun time. Now's a good time to get in on the ground floor of some of that stuff. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello, thank you for being here. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel, liking the video, leaving a comment what you thought of the IFL National Championship game, and help share it with a friend. Share this episode with a friend. Share the Todd Tryon episode with a friend. Share the channel with a friend that you think would enjoy it. We've got a ton of banked interviews. I think we're up to it's over 60 episodes, but I want to say there's close to 40 interviews, over 40 interviews at this point. So a lot of stuff you can go back and watch over the past year and a half, 2 years that we've been doing this. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you for doing that as well. Please make sure you're going to the show page, rating it 5 stars, leaving a review if possible, and sharing it with a friend as well. Happy to see the direction this thing's headed and the growth and the scaling that we're taking this thing. I'm very excited to see some of the seeds that we planted at the beginning of the season starting to flower, starting to bloom, and we're headed in a very positive direction. So make sure you're following us, make sure you're like, subscribe, all that stuff everywhere that you can. So enough of that. Here's the interview with Mr. Brent Stover. All right, on the show this week, we have a play-by-play announcer who's been in the commentary and sports broadcasting game for quite a while now. You name it, he seems to have done it, from college basketball to college football, and of course, arena and indoor football. He's calling the 2025 IFL National Championship game, or by the time this airs, he will have just called the National Championship game. He's a familiar face if you watch CBS Sports. His name is Brent Stover. Brent, thank you so much for hopping on here. How are things going in your world?
Great, Trey. I'm in Chicago for the week, kind of enjoying myself. And when this records, I guess I'm headed out to Tucson in a few days.
Yeah.
So this is an exciting time, kind of the end of summer. I get going with college football a lot here, full steam ahead in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, kind of enjoying the last couple of weeks here of summer.
Right. Yeah, it seems like you do stuff all around the calendar year. Like you're not just locked in with college football or football in general. You were telling me you were doing NASCAR earlier. Like what don't you do at this point?
Yeah, no, I do some ARCA racing, which is kind of the developmental level of stock car NASCAR racing, and did 9 of those this summer, which has been really fun. Did a lot of MMA, believe it or not, a couple of years ago with one championship on Prime Video, but. Yeah, my bread and butter is CBS Sports, and they've been really good to me. And I'm thrilled that the championship game is on CBS Sports Network. But yeah, my main thing is studio host for college football and college basketball within the CBS Sports family. So, it's been a great ride, and I just want to keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the show, we're all about arena and indoor football, which we'll get to in a moment. But just some of the things you just named, you've got quite the resume of different organizations, leagues, teams you've covered. And I think you're one of those faces where people recognize the face and they may not even realize it if they've watched college football, college basketball over the past couple of years. So walk us through a bit of your journey in that play-by-play and TV world and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, so I graduated Kansas State in the late 90s, and I won't go through every detail of my career, but bottom line, I was in Topeka, Kansas to start for about a year and a half. And then I got with the Fox Sports Network regionals at the time in St. Louis and Pittsburgh. Ended up in Chicago at the Big Ten Network right around the launch of that in '07. And then I started with CBS Sports Network in 2010. And I was living in Chicago and kind of traveling around and calling games, you name it, a lot of college sports.
Yeah.
And then in 2013, they asked me to move to New York City and have more of a studio presence. So I've been there ever since. Spent a lot of my summer in Chicago, which is why I'm here right now. But yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it right there. Everything's kind of fallen into place throughout my career, and I've got to do some fun, exciting stuff. Got to travel a lot. And, as it pertains to arena ball, CBS Sports Network has been in the past affiliated with, the AFL for quite a long time. So I think 2014 to maybe 2019, I was calling games for them. I called Arena Bowl 31, and then had a little bit of time away. And obviously those leagues have had different iterations since then. COVID didn't help. But, fast forward, and I'm involved with the IFL National Championship game, and it couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, it's gonna be super fun. And it just going through like you said, if we were to touch on everything you've been through, we'd be here for a couple hours. But yeah, it's really cool to kind of see your journey, and it's like really inspiring for some folks just getting started in the industry. Of like, just take what you can get and keep going, and just don't stop. And before you know it, you're calling the IFL National Championship on CBS Sports, and you're in studio.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I mean, it's, everybody's got a different path. And, I mean, there's a lot of really talented men and women out there doing what I do that maybe haven't gotten the breaks. And so I've been really blessed. Certainly you have to have some ability and be able to be flexible. And I've found a lot of success, I think, with being available to call anything and to be able to do studio as well as play-by-play and even sideline. And, if I were to ever give advice to someone, and I have young people reach out from time to time, you just got to put yourself in as many positions as possible. And even the ones that are the most uncomfortable can sometimes be the best. But I've been really blessed for everything has always just kind of the path is laid out nicely for me. And so, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there are a lot of people, that are talented and really good at an assortment of things that, maybe haven't gotten their break or maybe they have. And so, it's, I've been really lucky.
Yeah, especially in the indoor football world, and in the IFL in particular, there's a bunch of great young commentators in the game. Well, especially with Vegas and Green Bay, they've got two of the best, and Ben Wilson in Vegas, and then Joey Bonadonna in Green Bay, who it's like they're just getting started. I'm excited to see their careers grow, and it's just like just keep going, guys. Like
Me too.
That's all you can really do.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I watched both championship games, obviously conference championship games, and unbelievable drama. Clearly, I mean, people need to be watching this league. I mean, if you were ever trying to sell this league to fans out there who maybe aren't as familiar, I mean, just show the tape of those two championship games. And I thought both commentary teams were really exciting and fun, and it got me juiced. And so it was cool. And I think no matter what you've been able to do or accomplish or what situation you're in, you can always pull from different guys that are doing it. And so, those are two guys that I thoroughly enjoyed listening to in those championship games. I thought that both teams really nailed it.
Yeah, on the East Coast, that Vegas game didn't wrap up until about 1:00 in the morning, and I'm like, guys, you're killing me, but I'm wired. I'm ready for another one. Let's go.
Yeah, and even the week before the San Diego game, obviously San Diego and Arizona, which ended dramatically, maybe a little bit too dramatically. But those guys on that call, and my guy Robert Turbin is on some of those games. He works for CBS Sports Network, so that commentary team out west has been. I think it's the San Diego team, or maybe they cover, a couple of different teams on the West Coast. But they are phenomenal. So.
What has been your favorite sport or event that you've been on the call for? Because you've been on a ton of different things. But is there anything in your past that kind of sticks out that may be a little more untraditional?
Yeah, I mean, events that I've been at, and this would be more from a studio host role, is we take our desk at CBS Sports Network, like a game day type situation. We take it every year to the Army-Navy game, and we host from out there, And we cover, like, the pageantry, the march-on. We have a march-on show and a tailgate show. Like, we have 2.5, 3 hours of coverage before CBS Broadcast takes over and does their half-hour pregame and then the game. And then also we take it every year to the Final Four and just do shows around the clock at the Final Four. So those are probably the two events that I most look forward to on the calendar every year, as well as the Collegiate Women's Sports Awards, which I've hosted for the last, I think, 13 or 14 years in late June. But in terms of calling stuff, I mean, to be honest, arena football and indoor football has been one of the – I have such a passion for it. You and I were talking right before we started recording on this. I mean, I'm right along with you, and I think it's awesome that you're doing this podcast because this space needs something exactly like what you're doing. I think it's such an untapped deal, and I go back to the late 90s and the early 2000s when the Arena Football League had 17, 18 teams. I think NBC as well as ESPN had the package. I remember getting home from church and watching like pregame on NBC and like a doubleheader. And so I think from a really young age, I was really into indoor football and just the idea. It was just, and I remember doing sideline for the Chicago Rush one year. This would have been early 2000s. They had a regional package as well. And I remember doing 3 sideline and just walking into Allstate Arena for the first time and just seeing a football field on a hockey rink was just so cool. And the uprights of the net and guys playing it off the net and flipping over the wall. And I was hooked from that point. So I realized that I'm not trying to just give you the answer you want, but
right. Yeah.
I think it's cool to be a part of sports that maybe might not be as mainstream, but have untapped potential and really kind of taken ownership of that. And so that's why I've always, I think, been drawn to this type of thing. And especially now getting involved with the IFL. I mean, you talk about a league that has withstood the ups and downs of different sports and different leagues, coming and going. And this thing has been around for a long time and been very successful.
Yeah, they're definitely headed in a good direction, and hopefully we can see more of these games just beyond the national championship on some national television in the near future. But before we dive too far into arena ball, I was watching some old clips of you on the Artie Lange show.
Yeah,
how did that crossover come about? Because that seems like a hell of a combination of just going from a buttoned up, studio play-by-play to kicking it with Artie Lange. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, crazy. Looking back, I don't think I appreciated it enough. Like, how did that come about? One of the analysts at CBS Sports Network, well, he's on CBS Sports on Saturdays, Brian Jones. He had befriended Artie and the guy who was doing the show with Artie. And I was out one night with Brian in the city, in New York City, Brian Jones, and he was like, hey, a buddy of mine has a nightly show that's simulcast. It was on DirecTV, and I think it was simulcast on the radio as well. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he was like, we're going to go be on the show. And we had a couple of drinks. We were having a good time. And so we went, and he went on the show, and I thought I was just going to kind of hang out. And they, mic'd me up as well and threw me onto the show as well. It was like a 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. show. And so Brian Jones would kind of be a guest on the show every once in a while. And then, long story short, Artie's partner left for some reason. I don't know if there was some sort of a contract dispute or something was going on. Mm-hmm. And my guy Brian Jones had his own radio show. And they got with me. I just kind of fell into it. And they were like, do you want to just start being on the show with Artie? Because it was a sports show, but we didn't really talk a lot about sports. And so I think they kind of needed someone to help guide him when we'd get on sports topics or have guests on. And I was like, sure, I'd love to. I don't know if I'm a good fit because I'm not a funny guy, and I'm a pretty clean, church going, you buttoned up studio guy, not taking many chances. And Artie is who he is. And I had so much fun for the year that I was involved. He is a sensational guy, and I know he's had his ups and downs and battles that he's had personally. But the time that I was with him was he was as cool as he could have been for me, and we really hit it off. And I think he enjoyed having me. To be honest, a lot of nights I would just kind of sit there and laugh at his jokes. Like I wouldn't really talk for long, but I would just kind of be his laugh track, and I just got to have a front row seat to, the amazing, comedian that he is and was.
Yeah, it seemed like from the clips I saw, you were the straight man a lot in terms of like, this is what happened last week. This team won. This team lost. This team got upset. This happened, and then you just kind of bounced it back to him, and he would just go from there. So it was a very interesting dynamic to watch back on some of those clips.
Yeah, I mean, I think I spent too much of the time, if I'm being transparent with you, like questioning, like, man, what am I really bringing to the table, instead of truly enjoying it, And now looking back, it really was like one of the coolest experiences I've had. Like doing a nightly show, the studio was awesome. It was the same studio, and I don't know if he still uses it, but it was the same studio that Dan Patrick at the time used in the morning. And then Artie Lange would come in at night, and obviously the decorations changed and all that. Yeah. But gosh, it was cool. There's a pool table, ping pong. They would have live music in there somehow, musical acts like on Friday night. Like, man, what a cool thing! It's funny that you took me down memory lane, because I have not thought about that show for a long, long time. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And anybody who's listening, go back and watch some of those clips. I just watched like 2 or 3 of them to prep, and I was like, this is good. Like this info is 11 years old. Like we're talking about Johnny Manziel playing for Texas A&M, but it's still funny to go back and watch some of that stuff.
No question.
And I was doing some further digging, and you were quite the athlete yourself. You mentioned going to Kansas State for a little cross country and track. What events did you participate in?
Yeah, so cross country is what it is. It's its own event. Right. Obviously, you run 8K until the regionals, and then it's 10K. Ran to the Big 12 at Kansas State, so I ran at a high level. I got recruited pretty good out of high school. When I got to college, it was an eye-opening experience. I dealt with some injuries here and there. I had a lot of injury problems, but when I was healthy, I was a good, solid cross country runner in the Big 8 and then the Big 12, kind of a middle of the pack guy. And then in track, I ran the mile. I ran 4:15 in the mile. I ran 9:20 in the steeplechase. That was my other big one. Do you know what the steeplechase is? A lot of people don't.
I feel like I know the name, but I don't think I could point to it.
Yeah, you jump over barriers, and they're like sawhorses, so they don't give. Like hurdles give. If you run over a hurdle, it'll give and fall over, but the sawhorses don't. And so...
Is that where there's like a moat of water on the other side?
A moat, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, one of the jumps is the water jump, and then the others are just regular, that same sawhorse just on the track. And it's a hard event. And so that and the mile were kind of my main things in track.
So you seem to really enjoy running, and my main question is how?
Yeah.
How like, teach me your ways. How can I enjoy running? Because I want to, but it's something where it's like mentally, I'm like, it feels like I'm going and I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this forever. And it's been like 4 minutes. And I'm like, oh, what do we got to do here?
Yeah. No, I hear you. So I think I have the advantage of I've been running for a long time, since middle school.
Right.
And so once you kind of get it in your blood and I think for me, when I see results, like I see myself getting in shape. And because to be honest, like when I'm at the studio, like we eat a lot, like I get out of shape in the winter a little bit. And so in the spring and summer, I have a lot of time off. And so I do run, like I run 2 or 3 times a day. And I'll tell you how you enjoy it. For one thing, you got to listen to music. You got to pick music that you like.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
You can't be looking at the clock the entire time because like you said, like, oh, I feel like I've been going forever and it's only 4 minutes. And you got to embrace the pain. Like you got to embrace, like I get a huge high, not the runner's high that people talk. I don't know what the runner's high is. I don't think.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Like maybe a few times. Yeah. Okay. Every once in a while I do get it. but the high I get is like getting done and having like just that good sweat and that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And so if you can like somehow get your mind wrapped around embracing that feeling and looking forward to that feeling. But the only other thing I could tell you is like find a good place to run. Like I love run along the East River in New York. One of the things I like about coming to Chicago, and actually when I lived here, I was running half marathons at the time, and I was training with an unbelievable group. And I'm looking down on the path right now along Lakeshore. One thing I enjoy about coming to Chicago is running along Lakeshore, and it is awesome. Like you just go up and down, and it goes forever. And so those are the three main things: finding the music, embracing the pain, and also the feeling of accomplishment, and then finding like a great place, whether it's nature or along water, where you can really enjoy it. Because, for instance, I don't care how cold it is. I am running outside. I cannot do in the gym running on the treadmill. I've never been able to get excited about that.
Yeah, that might be the issue then. Just getting out and like just having like picking a direction and going, because that might be the thing.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Noted. I'll report back to you. I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it earlier about your introduction to the sport, with the Chicago Rush. Did you go as a fan initially, or was the first time you kind of encountered it when you were doing that sideline reporting?
Well, I actually forgot about something. When I was in Topeka, my first year out of college, I suited up for an indoor team. I don't even remember the name of the league. It was the Topeka Knights in Topeka, Kansas.
Okay.
And as one of my local stories, the local angle was I suited up for a preseason game. They were taking on the Lincoln Lightning.
Okay.
And I, at the time, like I used to love like kicking field goals. It was just kind of a hobby, and I got pretty dang good at it. Like I'd just go out and kick field goals. This is in my 20s and early 30s. And so I suited up, and I was going to be the backup kicker for the game. And if the situation was right, they were going to put me in to kick a PAT.
Okay.
But we got like great video, and I got a great story out of it where I was in warm-ups. You see me on the sideline with my helmet on, watching the game, all that. I never got into the game, even though it was a preseason game. Oh. So that was my first opportunity to just be a part of it. But then fast forward about 7 years later, I was doing sideline for the Chicago Rush. So never really as a fan have I gone to an arena game. I've always just kind of been part of it, I guess.
Huh. Interesting. So, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned doing quite a variety of arena football games over the years. And do you remember the first one that you were on the call for? Like you mentioned doing the sideline reporting, doing the actual play-by-play for?
Yeah, it would have been with CBS Sports Network around 2014 when we had the rights, and the league was in a really good position at that time, the Arena Football League. I don't know if you remember, but Cleveland was rocking. Philly was always awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tampa Bay and the Jacksonville Sharks and then Albany came back. Yeah, so it was – I think I did a couple of games in 2014 and maybe a couple more in 15, but like 16 through 19, I was really doing a lot of games. And by the end, there's only 4 teams in that league, but I called the Arena Bowl in 31. I guess it was Baltimore against Washington. So or I think that would have been 18 or 19. So, yeah.
What I think that was the game where Washington had like a 2-8 record and they ended up winning the whole thing.
Exactly. And I believe it was a 2-game series, or maybe that was the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2-game, like aggregate scoring for the playoffs.
Yeah, it was aggregate scoring. It was crazy.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. And it was like 4 teams and 2 owners. Like it was kind of a disappointing ending, to be honest, to that iteration of the league, based on what it had been just a few years prior. But that Arena Bowl was really fun. And I remember the time just being able to say that. And I worked with Sed Bonner, who's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Sensational guy. So that was one of the thrills as well. And Artie Wolf, who is the guy when you're talking about arena football, he was doing sideline for a lot of those games as well, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And then I turned around and did sideline for a game he called. I'm sure you're going to talk about it at the Arena Bowl last year.
Oh, yeah. So, it's coming up.
Artie's a great guy. Artie and Sed Bonner, from a broadcast only, have done a ton for indoor and arena football. So,
yeah, when you're doing prep for indoor football or arena football, what types of challenges are unique to the sport that you don't really see in other sports? Or like, is there a unique aspect to it where you're like, all right, this is a little bit different. I got to make sure I'm aware of X, Y, and Z.
I think, to be honest, it might go the other direction where it's to
Okay.
simplify. I think you can really simplify it because, as you know, I mean, there's 3 or 4 guys that are touching the ball on offense. A guy gets hot, a receiver, and he'll be the go-to guy all night. There's a little more running in the game recently in the last couple of years, which I really like. Obviously, watching Green Bay, I mean, both of these teams run the ball pretty well. So I think it's actually simplified. Like it's
okay.
The prep is still there, but I think you can make the mistake of over prepping as well because the depth charts are shorter, the number of guys, the rosters are not as deep, but I think that's unique to the league, and I think it's unique in a good way. And in terms of calling a game, it like I said, it makes it a little bit simpler.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, you don't have to worry about 5 wide receivers and 3 tight ends. It's like you said, it's probably going to be one guy getting hot. You just got to remember, right? Number 6.
Yeah.
Got him locked in.
Exactly. And I think the rules are pretty straightforward, but I think there's some pretty cool stuff. I think the Rouge is cool. I think, anything you can do. And one thing I really enjoyed about, my time in the AFL was guys playing it off the net and bar balls, kicking it off the iron and guys diving for it. I mean, that's, the IFL, the rules are a little bit different clearly on that, as you can kick the 2-pointer, which is a cool thing in its own right. I mean, the one thing I really like about this league is the kicker is very involved and can have a huge, huge impact on the outcome of a game. And we've seen it in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's no coincidence that the final 4 teams all had very good kickers.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, there's a trend there. And it's one of those things where like a 10-point game is 1 possession.
Exactly.
Touchdown, 2-point deuce. That's 10 points right
Deuce,
there. So it's like a double-digit lead is nothing.
That's
absolutely nothing.
But you got to decide too on the deuce. I like that too because if he misses, clearly the field position is going to be sensational.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's super interesting, and it's like watching a chess match unfold between the 2 coaches whenever the IFL plays.
Yeah, and the other thing I like too is the access. Like, and I'm sure we're going to do this in the IFL Championship, but Sed Bonner was on the sideline last year for actually coaching. He was the OC for Billings.
Yeah,
and we had a great time. I'm like asking him plays, and as he's calling in the play on the broadcast.
Yeah.
So the access is sensational, and I just love the fact that the coach is right there on the field. I'm not by trade a sideline reporter, but doing sideline in indoor football is as fun as anything I've done in sports, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a perfect transition because we're about to dive into Arena Bowl 33, Brawl at the Mall, and that was one of the things I wanted to point out was that it's so unique to see that because I remember distinctly this play happening where it was 3rd and goal for Billings, and Bonner was giving his guys the business in the huddle, and I see you lurking in the background. You're just waiting for him to break the huddle, and then as soon as he turns around, he says, "Man, you don't know how to read the room, dude."
Yeah.
And you're talking to him in real time as the players are lining up, and I'm like, "This is incredible! Like, where else are you getting this?"
No, nowhere. And he knows the deal because he's been in the booth for so long.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, I was like, boy, he might be ticked off. And it would, you know what? I'm fine if he was because he's in the heat of the moment. But at the same time, he knows dang well that if he was in my position, he would be doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I think he was just giving me crap. We actually have never talked about it since. But either way, I'm good with it because he knows that that's what I have to do in that situation.
Yeah, so. It's like, look, this is what I'm here for. Like, that's what you're there. But Brawl at the Mall, Arena Bowl 33, that was a whole experience in itself. Like, what do you remember about that whole week leading up to it, the game itself? Because it's probably something we're never going to see again. It was just a spectacle of like an event, just given the circumstances, given the venue, just given everything that went into it.
Yeah, I loved it. And it came together, as you've alluded to, at the last second. I was in Nantucket with my family trying to put the deal together because, without going into too much detail, I wanted to be part of it. I
Yeah.
was thrilled to be part of it. It was going to be in New Jersey. I live in New York City. Um, I love arena ball. I hadn't gotten the opportunity to do a game since before COVID, and it was going to be on CBS Sports Network. And I knew Ari Wolf was on the call. I wanted to work with him. I knew Sed Bonner was going to be coaching in the championship.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of like beg my way on. Like, there's a good example. If you asked me earlier about my career and the path and the stuff I've done, no matter what I've accomplished, like, I am not afraid. If there's someone I want to be a part of, like, I will. And I was all week, like, getting with the decision makers and be like, put me on this game. I promise. Like, I will sprint around and do everything and get every interview and every play call. And so that the biggest thing I remember is how hard I had to work just to get the gig. Because I think there was some disorganization, and I don't know that they were going to use the sideline reporter anyway.
Right.
And then the other big takeaway is I had never been out to that mall, and it is so cool. Like, there's the ice skating rink, which obviously they played the game on. There's roller coasters. There's a wave pool where you can surf. I guess there's a ski slope. I haven't seen it. There's a Ferris wheel. And then all of a sudden you like turn the corner and you got like Sbarro's and Fleet Feet and all these typical mall stores. And then all of a sudden, again, it was like when I walked into Allstate the first time and I saw, holy cow, there's a football field, small little football field. It was, I got to experience that same feeling again, that you turn the corner, you're in the middle of a mall and there is a football field right there. So man, it was so much fun sprinting around and jumping over walls and being a part of it. In that field, you know, there's like a sunroof at the top of the roof of the mall was like a sunroof, and so it's really bright, especially early on in the game because of the kickoff time. So that's the other thing I remember is just kind of the sun coming down, kind of like old Cowboys Stadium. Before Jerry Jones, where there was a hole in the roof, like that's kind of what it reminded me of. So those are the biggest memories I have.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, man, this is probably one of the few arena football games that has natural lighting.
Yes,
like it was crazy to think. And then like you said, the fourth quarter comes around, suddenly the sun's down, and then the artificial lights come on. It was like there's just so much about it that it was just a spectacle. Like there's
the
no
fans watching. The fans like standing on top of it, like the Roman Coliseum, like they're just on top of you. I thought that was kind of fun too. Is just the fan situation. So
it was a unique venue, unique opportunity. It kind of gets the gears going on like what else a league could possibly do. But it's going to be one that stands the test of time. When you're going to go back to it, it's going to be like, man, what an event that was.
Absolutely. If they ever do a 30 for 30, I'd like to be.
Oh yeah,
little documentary.
Oh man, the stories that would come to light from that. Oh man.
Yeah.
But you mentioned working with Sed Bonner throughout the years and working with him in the booth. Like, what was it like having him right next to you? Like, he's one of the all-time greats of the game, just a complete wealth of knowledge, and it's one of those things where you don't really have to do much, just steer the ship, and he does the rest.
Yeah, steer the ship, get out of the way. I mean, he knows the game. I learned so much about the game from him. I had so much fun just hanging out with him and being around him and picking his brain and going and talking to players and coaches, you know, the day of the game and then during warm-ups and just kind of tagging along with him because he commands so much respect, and yet he is such a down-to-earth, just a good dude all around. And I learned so much about football, and especially in the indoor game. And we had so many good discussions about like how to grow the game and how to make it better and how to make it more popular. Like I would give him my opinion on, hey, you know, one of the things at that time, you know, with the AFL was I felt like the final 2 minutes of games in the halves where we kind of drag a little bit, and there would be a lot of penalties and a lot of calls, and we would have discussions and arguments about that, and like on air, like disagreeing about stuff was really fun with him as well. So just it was an all around great time, and I owe a lot to him of you know, I guess my knowledge and ability to call games and my passion for it as well kind of grew from being around him. And you're right, he's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, he's one of the best, and I definitely want to get him on the show sometime, just pick his brain. He's just one of those guys where it's like, man, let's just hit record and see how long it goes. Like, let's just see all the things we can touch on.
Yeah. Great guy. Great quarterback.
But with the IFL, indoor football is a different brand of arena football. Like, there's arena football rules, there's indoor football rules. Like, what are your thoughts on the indoor football rule set? And like, what are your thoughts on the league as you're doing some of this preparation for the national championship game?
Well, I love the league. The biggest thing that stands out to me is the parity is sensational. I mean, you get like the Barnstormers are at the basement this year. Really? I mean,
right? Yeah.
One of the teams when you talk about the history of the league. Yeah. The playoffs have been sensational. The drama, the fact that, like you said, a 10-point game is a 1-possession game. Like, there's rarely blowouts. The crowds are great. Tulsa had unbelievable crowds this year. Obviously disappointed for them that they didn't make the playoffs. But, I mean, you got teams like Iowa and teams like Arizona that have been around the indoor game for a long time, the Jacksonville Sharks. Like, you've got great markets, great teams, great fan bases, and you got the right number of teams as well. And obviously you're in a position where if you want to expand, you can. But, and we got the matchup. I mean, the fact that Vegas has tremendous ownership, and all the ownership groups in this league are phenomenal. Right. And then, as you know, like, you've seen leagues and teams and franchises come and go, and some of the drama off the field, like, they don't have that in the IFL because everybody is bought in, and that trickles down into the coaching staffs and the players. And you got household names in this league. Like, the fact that Jaden DeLora is a star and has his team in the championship. Like, I've been covering him the last 4 or 5 years in college. And then you got guys like Max Myler, who's maybe not a household name before his arena career, but then he comes out and leads his team to the championship this year. Like, I think they're well positioned, and they've done things in a smart way to where they haven't gone out over their skis with in terms of like finances and spending and trying to expand too quickly, too often. I just think that their approach has been so measured so perfectly, and they've been able to stand, tall for a long, long time in the arena space, and it's only getting better.
Yeah, they've been, like you said, some other organizations and leagues, they're trying to go as quickly as possible. IFL has been, slow and steady, wins the race, and they're doing their thing. And this is going to be an eventful offseason. I feel like we're going to see some good news.
I think so too, and I think it could be something with a television package. I don't want to get out in front of anything here, but from what it sounds like, there could be something coming down the pipe. And I think it's good, again, of course, to be back on CBS Sports Network in the National Championship. And I watched last year's telecast, and it was just, it's really well done. Like, it's they got their ducks in order, and I think it's only going to get better and more popular.
Yeah, it's only up from here, and I'm excited to see it. But like I mentioned, we're recording this before the national championship game. The game's going to be completed by the time this comes out. So I just want to be the first one to say, job well done on commentary. Absolutely masterful performance. Didn't expect anything less. So very, very, very nicely done.
Appreciate that. Thanks so much. Putting good karma out there. So I guess we will have enjoyed. Yeah. What a game it was. It
was an incredible
game. We saw.
What a sporting event.
And it was great hanging out. It was great hanging out with you in person.
That joke you told was hilarious. I loved it.
Exactly. Awesome.
So before we get out of here, I do want to talk a little business here. Okay. I'm going to do a live on-air negotiation. What do we got to do to get the phrase "off the wall" mentioned a couple times on the broadcast?
No problem.
What do we got to
do? Nothing. I'll just do it off the wall.
All right, let's go.
Listen, this is a symbiotic relationship. Our buddy Jared, got to put us together, and there's a reason for that. Jared Weidman has been sensational for this league and for this space and for this sport. And so, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, him again, the fact that we met at the Arena Bowl last year, and here we are a year later in this situation. But I think, having a guy like you and doing what you're doing and shedding light on this sport in such a positive manner, I'm going to have no problem saying off the wall. Might say it 2 or 3 times.
Let's go. All right. So if you're watching this now, go back and find the timestamps. Let's find when he said it. We're going to get this done. Let's
awesome.
go.
Awesome.
Well,
I love it. I love what you have going on.
thanks, man. Well, this has been a ton of fun. And like I said, thank you so much for hopping on here. And I'll see you at the big game. I saw you at the big game. We'll stay in touch, all right?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Big thanks again to Brent for joining the show and talking about his sports broadcasting journey, talking about his journey through arena and indoor football. As I mentioned, we pre-recorded that before the game, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch the full broadcast to see if he name dropped a little off the wall here or there throughout the broadcast, see if he held up his end of the deal. But big thanks to Mr. Stover for joining the show for that interview. And speaking of the IFL National Championship game, what a game! What a freaking game that was. I had the opportunity to go to the game, do the media day the day before, got media passes through the league. So big shout out to the IFL for hooking that up. And it was just a very cool experience all around in Tucson, Arizona. Media day, got to record a bunch of cool content. We recorded a little video with Quentin Randolph from Vegas. We recorded a video with Coach Mike Davis, Coach Corey Roberson from Green Bay. Max Myler for Green Bay, the IFL MVP, recorded a video with him, recorded a funny little video with the mascots as well. And it was just a really good time, and got to network and mingle with a ton of people in the industry, some coaches that I've been dying to meet and chat with that we're probably going to have on the show over the next couple of months. Got to kick it with Coach Andre Coles for a little while. So that was awesome to be able to chop it up. And during the game, I was able to pick his brain about, offensive philosophy in the indoor game. So we'll have to see if we can get him on for an interview, a turf tapes, or something, because that guy knows ball. Guy knows a ton of ball. At the game, got a chance to make a video with Coach Taylor Jenser from the San Diego Strike Force as well. And just like I said, just met so many great people within the industry, coaches, behind the scenes, exec level people, team owners, got to chop it up with them. And I got to meet a ton of fans as well. And it was a super humbling experience, if I'm just being transparent and honest here. Going to that event, I was like, all right, if somebody recognizes me, that'd be kind of cool, I guess. But there was a lot of folks that I would walk up to introduce myself to kind of pitch the show, and they'd be like, oh, yeah, I watch your show. I watch that. Yeah, we do that all the time. We follow you. And it was just a really cool experience to meet a ton of the folks that have been social media friends for a little while now, and got to put some faces to names and shake hands and give some people hugs. And it's a really unique community that we've got here in indoor and arena football, and feel like the toxicity of the internet in general kind of ruins some of that a little bit in a way. But being able to meet some of these folks and have some in-person conversations about the game, and with players, coaches, family of players, fans of these teams that traveled across the country to go support their team in the national championship. It was just such a fun experience, so unique, and I'm really glad I got to be a part of it. And it was just a really great game and a really great experience all around. So we're going to be putting together some interviews with some of those folks that I had a chance to meet before the game, at the game, and at media day as well. So I'm very excited to see what comes of that. But let's touch on the game. Vegas Nighthawks versus the Green Bay Blizzard. Vegas was my preseason pick to win the entire thing. Green Bay was somebody, and I think it was about mid-May, I put a post out on Twitter or X, and I said, you need to be buying some Green Bay stock now, because they're going to skyrocket. And what happened? They skyrocketed, they peaked, and they made it to the national championship game. So it was a pretty interesting situation. I don't want to call it a conundrum, but it was an interesting situation where it was the team that I was high on all year in Vegas versus the team that I was like, okay, this team's dangerous, about midway through the season in Green Bay, and both of them were meeting in the IFL National Championship game. So it was just such a fun, dynamic game, back and forth scoring all day long for the folks that are, arena versus indoor versus arena. Arena's high scoring, indoors low scoring. No. Watch this game. Watch either conference championship game. These games were very entertaining, very back and forth, and just could not have been a better product on the field. And I think in the IFL's wildest dreams, based on how this went down. Every single possession ended in a score, except for the last one, which we'll get to in a second. But Vegas looked really, really good on offense at the beginning, and they did a lot more running than I thought they would. Jaden DeLora typically wasn't a real big run threat throughout the season, but when he needed to, he did. Typically, Jerome Johnson handled a lot of the running duties at the quarterback spot, but Antonio Wimbush at running back, special teams player of the year for the IFL this past season. Antonio Wimbush, I think he was the MVP of this game just because of the tone that he was setting on the ground. He busted several runs early in the first half that made the defensive line for the Green Bay Blizzard really have to make some tough decisions. And Vegas was running that read option extremely well throughout the first half. And they were able to open things up through the passing game in the second half as well. And just back and forth action the entire time. Jaden DeLora at quarterback ended up getting the national championship game MVP, 131 passing yards and a touchdown through the air, 70 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. He didn't make any mistakes, didn't turn the ball over, and just an overall really, really solid performance from this Vegas offense. And I thought this Vegas defense was going to get a couple stops, but they got the stop when it mattered. If you haven't seen the video already, please go to the Off the Wall socials to check it out. But that was my point of view, my perspective of the final play. Green Bay, of course, had the ball down by 3 with 5 seconds left, no timeouts. Ball on the 2-inch line. 2-inch line, not 2-foot line, not 2-yard line, the 2-inch line. They had defensive linemen that were, Vegas had defensive linemen that were hurt. So they actually had an offensive lineman playing nose guard on the defensive line on that last play. So if you go back and watch Mallory, number 77, he was on the defensive line just because he's a big boy and they needed some depth. And they were able to get that stop, and Green Bay was going for the tush push with the running the men in motion, and it was a bobbled snap, and they just couldn't get any torque. They could not get across, and Vegas was able to make the stop, and time ran off the clock, and it was such a crazy ending. It would have been anticlimactic for the game to be won on a tush push, so to have it won the way it was, stopping a tush push and stopping the IFL MVP, who was nearly automatic on that play all throughout the season. Just an unbelievable ending to an unbelievable game. And Green Bay, they were right in it. Max Myler played unbelievable in this one as well. 182 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. Kimo Clark had an unbelievable game, 80 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. He had several plays that made the entire arena go like, oh. He had a hurdle play, I think, in the second half that was just so good. So just an awesome play. Myler also had 2 rushing touchdowns as well. He was able to find Andre Williams for a touchdown, TJ Davis for a touchdown. And this Green Bay offense, they were able to do their part. They were able to score on every possession. Andrew Mevis was able to connect on a field goal right before halftime and connected on a deuce that was really timely for them. And all around, you could not ask for more out of either of these offenses. Just neither of these defenses could catch a break. Neither of these defenses could really get off the field. Green Bay had some sloppy penalties in the second half that really extended some Vegas drives. I know Green Bay fans were not thrilled with the refereeing in this one, but you go back and watch the game. The illegal defense, I believe, was on Andre White. It was valid. He's been doing that same thing for the majority of the season. If you go back and watch some of the games, specifically some of the I believe it was the first Tulsa game, he did it once or twice. They extended a Tulsa drive. That defensive pass interference on CJ Wyndham in the back of the end zone, the DB was smothering Wyndham. So like it was a fair call. So hindsight's always 20/20, but 5 seconds left. Third down, you almost feel like you want to throw a quick fade, a quick out route, a quick slant, because there's no way that play would take 5 seconds to develop. And then on 4th and goal, if you still don't got it, go for it. Go for the tush push there. But again, hindsight's 20/20. That play is nearly automatic with Max Myler and that big bodied front that Green Bay has. And yeah, it's just not enough can be said about the game. So make sure you go to the IFL Network and go watch the replay of that game if you didn't catch it live. It's a really, really great game. our guy Brent Stover on the play-by-play with Curtis Riggs on the color commentary, and Sandy Charles down on the field doing the sideline reporting. It was just a really great game, and like I said, a really fun experience to be there for it and to interact with so many folks in the industry, on these teams, in the league, fans in the stands. I've just met so many great people that enjoy the sport of arena football, and it was really inspiring and really, really good to see. And it's really got me ready for the off season. It lit a little bit of a fire underneath me to keep this thing going even more and to really scale it up. And because these leagues, these players, these coaches, they deserve better coverage than what they've been getting over the past couple of years historically. So let's see what we can do to change that, and let's continue to grow the game, one play, one drive, one game at a time. And that was extremely cheesy, and I do apologize. But yeah, very, very fun time at the IFL National Championship. Make sure you go watch the replay if you haven't already. One more piece on the IFL before we get out of here. At halftime of the IFL National Championship game, they announced a reality TV series, Fight for the 50, that will be debuting in March of 2026. And if you go to Off the Wall's social, either Instagram or Instagram, TikTok, or X, there was a full-length preview that I was able to get posted on there if you missed it at halftime of the IFL National Championship game. So go check that out. Let me know your thoughts on it. It looks to be pretty cool. And I'm interested to see all the behind the scenes and stuff that they captured. It looks like it was for the playoff run specifically. So the dynamic conference championship games, this game in the national championship, the Coach Kevin Guy tirade. There's going to be some good moments, and I'm excited to get a peek behind the curtain at some of this stuff. And maybe there's some stuff from the regular season too. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but that's going to be really fun to see. And it's going to be cool to get a little peek behind the curtain of how this whole operation works. While you're checking out that video on socials, please make sure you're giving us a follow as well at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. We're on Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok, and all the socials. So give us a follow on there. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for doing that. Please make sure you're subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and checking out some of the other stuff we got on the channel as well. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure that you're rating the show 5 stars, preferably. But hey, do your thing on the show page and sharing it with a friend as well. And let's see how far we can grow this thing out. And that's the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to check it out. Thanks again to Mr. Brent Stover for hopping on the program and talking through his journey in sports broadcasting and getting involved with the arena and indoor game. I have a feeling we'll be seeing a lot more of him in the future. So we'll see how all that potentially shakes out. Lots of things to be announced, but yeah, we'll have to stay in contact with Mr. Stover here. But there's only 24 hours in a day. The fact that he chose to spend about 50 minutes here listening to the show means a lot. It's really humbling and really inspiring again to see all the support both in person now and online throughout the past couple of weeks. So thank you so much for checking it out. Share it with a friend. Engage with us on socials, and let's continue to grow the game of indoor and arena football even in the off season. Well, we got some cool stuff planned, and we'll do some collaborations with teams, with leagues, with other content creators, and it's just going to be a very fun time. So take care. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.